Hey crafty people! Welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Oh, welcome back. So we're going to be creating some more backgrounds. I have been a little obsessed with creating inky backgrounds lately, but you know, that's what I'm in the mood to make, so that's what we're going to do today. And today's video is inspired by Barbara over at Barb Paper Lover. I'll leave a link down below to her video, and she's been doing a series she's called Tag Lab on her channel, where she's been creating like tag bases. And so we're going to do some tag bases, but I'm also going to do some journaling card bases as well. And what she did for the one that inspired me for today is she used like rectangular pieces of Post-it note to mask off little sections on her tags, and then she used a background stamp, and then, you know, she was able to like then stamp something in the little spot that was masked off. And when I saw that, I thought, you know what would be cool is if I took some of my label stamps and made some masks using my label stamps. And so these are mostly Crafty by Toni, but there are a few of my Creative Expressions. No, it's Elizabeth Craft Designs label stamps. So I've got a roll of this masking tape that's designed for being able to like stamp on and mask things off. It's got a low tack adhesive on the back, and so you can pull it out, stamp on it, cut out your image, and then you've got a mask. If you don't have masking tape paper thingy like I have, if you don't have this, and I got it on I think Amazon years ago, so yeah, you get a ton. You can use Post-it notes, although these are like generic Post-it notes and they're sticky and it's kind of not great. But if you stamp it so that at least part of the image is on the sticky part of your Post-it note, you can then cut that out and use that. Or if you don't have either of those, but you have repositionable adhesive, you could do that. You could probably get away with a low tack like painter's tape. It's just the surface of like your low tack tapes is slick, so you might have some issues with your stamped image smearing when you do that. So that's why I've got the masking tape for doing this. So I've already done a bunch of those, so let me show you the basic idea. And on some of them she did 2, and some she did just 1. And so we're just gonna take one of our little masks, decide about where we want to put it on here. Then I'm going to stick it in my Misty. I'm just going to line that up there, grab a stamp. And this is Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous Floral Trim CMS 461. And I'm going to grab one of these and, you know, let's scoot this over because then it'll line up better. And I am just gonna go ahead and stamp that. And let's see, what color do I want to do? This one, let's go with VersaFine Clair Warm Breeze. All right, let me move my masks off of here. I'm just going to stick them on a case that I have stamps in so that I can get them out of the way. Do that and pull that off. We've got the shape, and then I can go in and stamp this guy right there. And I think because this is not like a full coverage background stamp and the shape's a little indistinct, I think what I may do is go ahead and grab that stamp right now remove this stamp and then line this up in the slot. I think that's about right. And let's see, what color do we want to do? I think I'm going to try Morning Mist, because we want to have a little bit of contrast. Now you could, of course, stamp the shape first and put the mask over it. And ooh, I like that. All right, let's take this one out. That came out very cool. I like this idea. All right, let's move that off to the side. Let's have a little cleanup over here. That one I'm gonna just set off to the side. I think I want to do another one using this guide, but let's change the color. And what I may end up doing for some of these, all of these, we'll see as I go along, is come in with some distress ink and ink the background as well. Because I think that might be really cool if I did like salvage patina inked background on the one we just did and mask off where, you know, put the mask back in place when we do the inking. All right, let's grab another one of those. And I cut down my paper. I forgot to mention this. I use 8.5 by 11 cardstock because I'm in the US. So I cut my pieces down to 6 inches high, which then leaves a 5-inch size piece. So for the journaling cards, they're 5 by 4 1/4, because then I just cut that 5-inch piece in half to get 4 1/4. And then for the 6-inch piece, I cut 2 3-inch wide pieces, and then I'm left with a 2.5-inch wide piece. And that is, the one we just did was the 2.5-inch wide one. Let's try doing a 3-inch wide one. Let's stick that there. We're gonna need to move the stamp. Let's use a different label, and instead of doing it towards the top, let's do it towards the bottom this time. That. And I'm grabbing VersaFine Clair Summertime. And again, with this one, it's a little indistinct. So let's grab that label. And I definitely didn't do a great job cleaning off the stamp because, yeah, there's some, that's from the blue. Let's line that up. Stamp, like that. I'm gonna go ahead right now because this one definitely is screaming for inking, I think. So while we're at it, might as well leave it there. Grab a brush. Let's try dried marigold. See how we like that. Should have grabbed a bigger brush. Let me grab a bigger brush. And I'm just gonna be gentle around where my mask is. Like that. All right, let me clean some stuff off and we'll move on to the next one. I want to use the other stamp in that set. Another tag. Set it down. Let's decide what we want to do. And this one, let's do 2 labels, one of which we're gonna have going off the side over there. Let's try and make sure we're putting that guy on straight. That does not look straight. Do that there. That one there. Let's get that straight. part of me is thinking go off the edge there and then put a third one. Right there. That does not look straight. And I'm using VersaFine Clair in Verdant. I'm going to ink this again, kind of calling to me to do that. And I've grabbed Twisted Citron Distress ink. Now, if I was stamping with Distress inks, if you go on right away while it's still wet, you can kind of blur out the image a little bit. I need a bigger workspace. Or less stuff. All right, let's get our labels. And I think I'm gonna mix it up, and instead of doing gray, let's grab Rainforest, which is a darker green, and stamp with that and see how we like that. Other than the fact that it's not very straight, because, well, it's me. I really like that. Yeah, that one's like, that one's definitely not straight. Oh well. All right, I'm gonna clean up and we're gonna switch and do one of the journaling cards. Okay, for this one, I thought let's go ahead and do one where we stamp it first, the label, and then put the mask over top, so you can see how that would work. So we stamp our label there. And I'm trying to decide what color I want to stamp it in. We're going to do it in Fossilized Amber Archival Ink. I'm going to see how this goes, because I'm planning on stamping in Fossilized Amber Distress Oxide for the pattern. So there's that, and we'll put our mask over it. It's a little bit easier with the lining up if you've stamped the label first. Now I'm gonna grab, I've got the Impression Obsession background stamp, and it's butterflies. And unfortunately, Impression Obsession went out of business last year. So I don't know if their stamps are still out there and available, but this one I've had for a very, very long time. So we're now going to stamp with Fossilized Amber Distress Oxide. And I also have a brush handy, because what we're going to do is we're going to come in, we're going to stamp. I did start recording again, yes, okay. And we're going to do this while it's still wet. And we are going to stamp again, because obviously we missed a big section there in the middle. And because we can stamp again, we can add back in some of the detail we blurred out with the blending brush. Oh, I like that. I like the tone on tone of the label and the background stamping. I kind of want to do another one using this same butterfly stamp, so let's do that. Let me clean up first. This one we're going to stamp the label second, just so I don't have to pull the stamp out of my Misty. Let me just make sure it's lined up properly. Let me scooch this down just a hair. And I'm going to do the same thing with the brush I did last time. And I'm using Distress Oxide and Kitsch Flamingo. I really like the tone on tone, so I think I'm gonna grab Kitsch Flamingo. And use Kitsch Flamingo Archival. Feel like I want to stamp that again. I feel like I maybe didn't clean that stamp off enough. It's not perfectly lined up. Yeah, it definitely works out better if I stamp, mask, and then do the background stamping, because then I get it lined up perfectly, but it's close enough. All right, I am gonna go ahead and do this with the rest of them, because let's face it, you don't need to see me doing this over and over and over and over again for all of the ones that I cut, because I cut a whole heck of a lot, because that's what I do. I go a bit overboard. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of these, and then when I come back, we'll do some stamping in our little label spots. Yeah, I'm probably gonna end up inking this one, because I like them to have more ink, more color on them. I meant to do some coffee dyed papers and forgot. So I think we're gonna go with the inking, because I do kind of like the tone on tone of inking the background. And for some of them, I may come in and ink with like a neutral color, just to break up the white. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do all the rest of them, and I'll be back. But I have gone ahead and stamped all of the ones that I previously cut out. And so let's do a quick flip through. These are our skinnier tags. And so some I put multiple labels on and some just one. And yeah, I know the stamps ended up being a little short for some of them, but we'll end up doing something to cover that up eventually. We got these guys. And for these two, which I stamped with the VersaFine Clair, and then I think I ended up switching mostly to stamping with Distress Oxide ink. It was a little too intense, so I just added a little antique linen. I don't remember if I did the Distress ink or the Distress Oxide. That one, and some plaid. And that guy. And then we've got these over here. Yeah, I really like how this stamp worked, so I did several colors of it. And then I love the stamp. We got some butterflies and some more of the lace. So yeah, I did several of the lace ones, and then some swirls. Now I want to stamp some of the labels on some of these. but not all of them. That way I can make decisions based on what I decide is going on the tag, what would be the best thing to stamp in the label spot. But I figured just to show you what you can do now that you've got your little labels masked off on your pieces, we'll do a few of those. Also, as I was going along, I realized the masks were coming out looking really cool too. So I stopped reusing them. Like these two I reuse. So these have got like, I think orange and then yellow and the purple and the blue on top, which not as nice, but still doable. But since I liked how they were coming out, I was like, ooh, let's just save those. We can turn those into labels. And because it's a low tack tape, we'll just have to make sure we glue them down. But yeah, so we'll stamp a few of those too. So let me grab my Misty. We'll start with this one, and I already have an idea in my head of what I'm going to decorate this one with, and of course he now wants it. I'll be right back. So what I'm going to stamp in there is, it says Collector of Beautiful Things, and it's from Creative Expressions Sam Pool stamp set called, I think, Butterfly Walk. So I'm going to do that there. And let's see, what ink do I want to stamp that in? I think let's try Wild Honey Archival Ink. But yeah, I think I like that. And I think why I have this out, I may go back because I feel like I may have used Fossilized Amber for stamping the label, and I think I want it to match this. So let's do that while we're at it. This way around. Not perfect, but close enough. And I think it works. There we go. So that one's ready just for decorating. And as I said, I have an idea for what I want to do with this one. But we're going to do that in another video. I've got one more backgrounds video planned. And after that, we will start decorating our backgrounds, and I think what I'm going to end up doing is mixing and matching backgrounds with like a theme of decorating. So that's what's upcoming on my channel, and this guy will be in one of those videos again. All right, so I took a second and pulled out some more stamps and this label, and we're going to stamp. Those guys are from, let's see, it's Creative Expressions, Tracy Fox Creatives, Entomology Passport Elements, CEC 1123. And that gives me the class, subclass, and order for butterflies. And then this little butterfly is from a Crafty by Toni stamp set. I'll leave a link to her Etsy shop down below. And this way we can stamp those guys on. And I used VersaFine Clair Rainforest to stamp the labels, so we'll use that for stamping the words in the labels. It's a little too hard on the L, but that's all right. So there we go. That guy's got its labels stamped. And I can always come back and add maybe some splattery stamps on there to rough them up a little bit and add some more interest. But I figured I'm doing this just to give you an idea of what you can do in the stamp labels. And wow, none of them are, like, these two are so not straight, and neither is that one. And I am like really bad about not being straight. Let's do one more of the backgrounds that we did, and I pulled this one out of Field Notes by Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous. It's CMS 396. And I'm going to stamp it in the same color I did the background, which was Bundled Sage Distress Oxide. So let's go ahead and do that. So there you go. You can stamp a little phrase, you can stamp words or butterflies, and you can stamp numbers in your labels. And let's go ahead and do a few of the labels since we're here and we're stamping. And you know what? Since we've got this one out and it fits this one so nicely, let's do that on that one. And I'm gonna do it in the VersaFine Clair Morning Mist that I stamped the label in. Let's try and make sure we're kind of straight-ish, maybe, perhaps. And let's see, what else do we want to do? That one's screaming for a butterfly. Let's see, do I have a tiny word specimen? What? Teeny tiny figure. So let's do that. Trying to decide if I want to switch this to a smaller, and this is actually technically a moth, I think. Let's put that there. And these are Crafty by Toni stamps. And I'm gonna go with the VersaFine Clair again. I'm gonna grab an eraser because the stamp won't stick to the eraser like it does my finger. And put it right. It's not supposed to stick to the eraser like it does my finger. Oh, for crying out loud. Cooperate. Yep, we're just gonna go with that as hopefully good enough because yeah, that was not one to cooperate. Like that. Let's do a couple more and then we will call it quits for today. Oh, that one fits in there perfect. Find a couple more. This way we can do one go round of stamping. And these are more Crafty by Toni stamps. That says collected, and this one's a date. Woo! Knocking stuff over. This works a little better. So much for the stamps not sticking to the eraser. Let's lift, and I have a feeling I'm going to need to fix that date stamp. Well, maybe it's all right. Just want to make sure I'm not stamping them upside down. Just do that to cover up. Woo! Oh, great. Now I pulled that off and I don't know if they're lined up right. So let's do that. Scooch this hair that way. Let's not do that again. Just grab a scrap paper, lay it down, ink them, get ink all over my fingers. Verify we are right side up on everybody. Okay, collected is upside down. I was sitting there, I'm like, the collected doesn't look right. The collected does not look quite right. So I was correct. It needs to get flipped. I'm gonna move this over a hair. And I think we're good to go. I like that. All right, so I will probably do the rest of these off camera because you don't need to see me just stamping numbers and letters. Okay, so we've got a bunch of skinny tags. We've got our 3-inch tags. We've got our journaling cards. And then we've got a few that we have completed by stamping in our little label areas. And bonus, we've got some labels that we can stamp on to use on our projects. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting!